Before we get started with this episode, we have a major favor to ask you.
If you could subscribe, like, and comment, especially with somebody that you'd love to see on the show, we would really appreciate that, and it would be amazing.
This helps us more than you know. In fact, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, and that is our goal, we are going to choose 2 of you to come to our very first Shoreline Show meetup with our team and our past guest.
And if you want more of the Shoreline Show, you can get on us on all the major audio podcast platforms.
Now, let's get on to the next episode. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Shoreline Show. We are so excited today because we have a really good friend of mine. His name is Brett Cecchini.
You said it right.
Brett Cecchini, and you own
Jeff's Pizza.
Amazing. You know what? I don't have my mic in front of me. It picked it up.
I'll start. I'll start with the thing is, I heard you guys. I got a bone to pick with Jets
All right,
here.
come on.
You guys got rid of your BLT pizza.
We did, but it's back, Rennie.
Really?
It's back.
That was the best.
It was gone since 2020, maybe a year or something. Yeah,
dude.
COVID. They made some menu changes because it's a very labor-intense pizza to BLT.
Oh, really?
Oh.
So they took it off the menu, but they brought it back. It's back. It's only been about 6 months. So
we absolutely, my family. That's our go-to with Jets. Is
you like it on the deep dish or the round?
Do.
Okay,
the deep dish.
Well, I know what to bring you guys for lunch next week.
Yeah.
I like the deep dish ones. Those are with the corners.
Yeah.
Those are good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the
I always
best.
want the corner.
Yeah. Well, that's cool to know. My kids will be ecstatic just to know.
Come back, get it.
For sure, definitely.
Awesome. Well, cool. So, Brett.
Yes.
I'm so excited that you're here today. And before we got started, you were telling us that you've watched every one of our episodes so far.
I did. After I watched your opening purpose, it aligns very clearly with who I am and part of what I think my purpose is. So I was excited.
Awesome.
And I was excited to learn a little more about both of you.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, it was cool. Yeah, I mean, things I have heard about you because, we have a mutual friend, Kyle, and you've always had a heart for seeing the full potential out of people. Mm-hmm. Kyle's always told me that about you, and it's funny because
it shows in your business because with Jets, I mean, you are hiring young high school students, and I know you pour your heart and soul into helping these people, these young kids develop into
whoever they're going to be.
Yeah.
I definitely hear that from different people in our community.
Yeah.
If their kids work for me,
Yep.
or just people who come in irregularly and they see the kids and they get the service.
Yeah.
Or people I know that I talk to and we talk a certain way about employees, and people will say that, and it feels good to hear people say that, but to me it's part of. I don't feel like I'm ever doing anything great.
Right.
I just do it because it's what I do.
Right.
I think where the world's going to go, and I was just having a conversation actually upstairs about this. I think where the world's going to go, and what there's a huge demand right now for, is back to the community type of thing. You're like, it's not like I'm doing anything besides being Brett. It's like just doing what I do inside of my job. But at the same time, you look back at these old TV shows, like I'm not going to lie, me and my family right now are going back and watching The Waltons. I don't know if you remember that TV show.
I love The Waltons.
Like, so we're going through every episode. We're watching.
Hi, Jim Bob.
I love The Waltons. Why? Because it goes back to, you start to see how a community works. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm huge into not politics, but like economics. I know exactly, and we'll kind of get into that in future episodes too. It's like where the world's going and why the world is gonna shift into this. I'm very confident where the world's gonna go. I think we're gonna go back to small community. Yeah. And I think when you say that, you're like, well, it takes a village type of thing. So these kids are coming in, and you're like, I don't do anything. You do a lot. it's just being present and you're there. It's like Shelly. She could probably say, she hasn't done a lot in my life, but she's always been present. She's always been there. She's always like I'm in her community of people. Yeah. So I think that's huge.
You said about the old TV shows. If you look back at them, you can usually see somewhere there's like a lesson or a life lesson in them too,
Always.
right? Someone gets disciplined, or they make them apologize or something.
Yeah.
And that's why I love sports, and I've done a lot of coaching, just did youth programs, and my 2 boys played sports. But at work, I run my work a lot. Like, I guess we're a team, and like coaching, like there are certain, and all this is going to sound so obvious, but that's exactly what you're saying. There's not a lot of obvious stuff followed, it seems like, in today's society. The things that
I'm with you.
Should be obvious, should be, the avenue to go down. They're just, it's not there. So at my work, and how I try to, the example I am is, we just follow the rules. Our health department has many rules in a restaurant, so we follow the health department. Our Jets America corporate has certain rules, right? And there's certain ways to make pizza. And then the business itself, I have certain rules. Like, you wouldn't slam your refrigerator door or something every time you went in and got your milk. So, we don't slam our equipment. I don't, if I hear someone banging on something, I'm up there, what are you banging on for? Let me show you. You don't have to be banging. So, but it's truly just like the fundamental basics.
It's living life side by side with them, right? You're teaching them. It's living life with them and teaching them through life skills instead of just in a textbook.
Yeah.
I had a conversation yesterday with an employee, and I said what I say a lot. I said, no matter whatever job or career you're going to be in 5 years from now or 2 years from now or 20 years, I go, what I'm trying to explain to you about leading people and being a leader is going to benefit you.
100%.
Because people are everywhere, no matter what job you got. The guy who's in social media or sits behind the camera, he's still working for the people.
100%. Hey, Derek.
It always, there's a guy over there.
Yeah.
But there's, so some people might say, well, I'm not a people person. And that's why, sometimes that's true. Like, I don't know. That's why accountants are accountants, right? They like the numbers and they like all those things, but ultimately they have to be able to communicate to either start their own business or work for a big company. You just always have to be able to communicate with people.
Well, I think that's what social media, I think there's a lot of good things about social media and just online and the internet. There's good things about it, but there's also bad. I think when it first started, like especially TV and stuff, it's like we looked at these people as in it seems easy, but there's a whole life that they're living behind those scenes that you don't see. It's the conversations we had right before you even walked in. There's a way more to it. And I think that's where it goes back to that small community living. And like one of the things that's relevant today is I thought was very interesting is they were talking about one of the episodes in the Waltons. And it's cool. It's relevant today is the whole Israel thing right now. And there was these Jewish people that moved to the United States and they moved to Walton Mountain. And it was during the Holocaust time. Wow. And one of the Walton kids threw a ball or did something and broke one of their windows, and they thought that people were coming after them. Oh, wow. And the dad said in the Jewish culture, I think it's when you're 16 you have a bar mitzvah. And they were like, hey, wait a minute. And one of the things is the dad went to the son. He's like, you're not having your bar mitzvah. We're not talking Jewish anymore. We're getting rid of all our Jewish cultures. Well, the Walton's grandpa ends up sitting down with him, and he said to him, he goes, I know you're fearful for your life. He goes, but do you want to lose that? He goes, what does that tell your family, losing who you are? Is it worth losing who you are? Yeah. To gain safety and security. And it was just a cool lesson within that. I'm like, wow, that's actually happening right now where people are endangered for their lives and things like that, but staying true to who you are and kind of relating that. And I think what that does is you essentially are the grandpa of the Waltons, right? You're telling these kids sometimes, like, hey, don't slam the door, don't do that. Right. And I think we're missing that living life together. And we went through an era that I think is going to start going away, is you don't tell my family, my kids. It's like, no, it takes a village. Yeah. I'm huge on exposing my kids to things. Like, so when my kids are pretty involved in church, and one of the pastors, I said in an earlier episode, one of the pastors comes up to me, he's like, wow, you really raised your kids well. And I stepped back and had the same attitude as you had. I go, I don't know what I'm doing, because I didn't grow up with a good dad and good family on any level whatsoever. So it's not like I had these skills. He goes, I can tell you what you do really well, Rennie. He goes, you turn up the volume of people you want your kids to hear, and you allow them to be involved, and you turn down the volumes you don't want your kids to hear, but you expose them. And I'm like, that's good. That's good information. So when somebody goes and works, like, for you, that's like that their parents are entrusting, especially if they're under 18, they're trusting that you're teaching them the right skills and not doing these crazy wild things.
And I take that very seriously, and I tell any new employee, and no matter, because I have 50-year-olds and I have a 14-year-old, but it's a safe place.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's why I've hired a lot of young people, and the people do trust me. And, you can trust me. It's a safe place, Now, I'm not there 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Right.
But
kids will play when the parents are gone.
Well, that's human nature. But I'm confident that, I've built a culture in there. Not just me, my managers. I have longtime people. We have built a culture in there that it's safe. I mean, my kids work there.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's awesome.
Safe.
My kids actually work for a restaurant as well, and same thing with that one. It's they work at Rainbow Grill there.
Oh well, yeah, Rainbow Grill, yeah.
And it's the same kind of thing. I think John's done really well there as well.
Yeah.
He teaches those kids to work hard and to do the things, and it's cool when you see those companies, because you'll see, right in the same area, you'll go to places, other pizza shops where you're like, they don't have that.
No, I tell people right out, if you want to bring in drama and you want to compare yourself to so-and-so, or you want to come in and talk about whatever you did over the weekend and try to act cool, I say just go work down the street.
Yeah.
Because we don't need, that's not what we're going to do here.
No.
Yeah, that's good.
No, we're going to come in and we're going to work hard.
We work hard, for the customer deserves our best.
Yeah.
And that's just what I do.
100%.
That's awesome.
I knew me and you would go down these rabbit holes.
I know. There could be a lot of rabbit holes.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. So tell me, Brett, how did you, because the question is, who were you as a child and all that kind of stuff. You can talk about that if you want to, but I would like to know, like, how, and maybe you can go there, but how did all of that lead you to where you're at now?
Yeah, how did you start your entrepreneurial journey?
And where pizza? Well, me and my family moved to West Michigan in 2007, July, because I was a UAW worker, Ford Motor Company, for 15 years. And that's the July shutdown is when I took my last day, and we packed up on the 4th of July and drove over here.
Wow.
That's now.
We'll come back to that probably, because I do, who was I as a kid and how did it lead up to that?
That's what I want to hear.
Things I like to share with other people, certainly our youth. This gets hard to say. That, I barely graduated high school. I'm not a book smart person. Okay, now I'm going to tell you these things. You don't have to say, "Oh, give yourself some credit." I can give myself a lot of credit. Trust me, I'm just telling you the truth, right?
Yeah.
Schoolwork was very hard for me. Luckily enough, I was very popular. I was good at sports, just as an average high school athlete, nothing more than that. But I was also born with a cleft lip, is what I thought. I do have a cleft palate, which means there's a hole in my mouth that goes into my nose.
Really?
So that's why I look like this, okay?
That's hilarious.
And I grew up, of course, in the Detroit area, and hockey's big over there. It's still a lot bigger than over here. So it's like, were you a boxer or a hockey player? So I always grew up with that. And so, if you don't think that this affects me as a high school student, I mean, you're wrong, okay? Because when you're in high school, that's what your life's about.
So to be honest, I don't even know. I'm sitting here saying I don't even know what you're talking about. Like what affects you? I'm not being serious.
Well,
I don't.
good. See, because I've grown into this. I guess it's all.
Yeah.
Well, that's why my lip is like this. There's a scar that comes down.
Oh, okay. Now I see.
So if you look, you see them in the magazines,
Yeah.
the clefts.
Yeah.
So like I didn't have a lip.
Children born with it's like a little separation.
It's a separation. Yeah, it was separation.
Yeah, I've seen
There's no
cleft lip
cartilage.
before, yeah.
My nose had no cartilage, and I didn't even know I had a true cleft until I was about 30, and I had a tooth pulled, and when the tooth came out, it opened up the hole, right? Because the tooth goes up and it kind of pushes things together.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's wild.
I grew up. The school wasn't my thing. I mean, that's hard in school, and I was always conscious about my nose and just my pimples. So I mean, high school was not fun for me.
High school
There's
is
nothing wrong
so
about high school.
hard.
So we'll just
Yeah.
In fact, but this was in the 80s, and I'm dyslexic. I know that now, but we didn't know that in later. They came to me when I was a senior and said, well, you qualify, you can go out and go to the special classes, But,
Thanks, no.
Yeah.
Would have been nice to know that when you were in grade school.
Yeah, it would have been nice to know that later.
Yep.
Actually, we had another person on this podcast. He's dyslexic as well. Braxton, he's the social media influencer. I don't know if you've seen him. Yeah. He's also dyslexic as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of common.
Yeah, it is. But, now
Back then
it's common now. I mean, but it wasn't nothing about that in
No.
the 80s,
Right.
So I was a hard worker from my parents. My parents ended up divorcing in ninth grade, when I was in ninth grade. But, prior to that, and even after, my mom and dad are both wonderful. Everything about it was wonderful. I learned hard work from my mother and my father. So I was always worked hard, regardless of what I was doing. I just worked hard. And I was in the factory. I got in the factory and worked hard and learned a lot about UAW and a lot about, the UAW, right? And seniority, that's the word I'm looking for. So...
Do you have opinions on the UAW?
Well, of course, I have opinions on UAW, and they're not bad or good.
Oh, they're not bad or good?
They're not bad or good. They just, I mean, my opinions are my life.
Because it seems like that's a topic that people seem to have strong opinions on.
There's a big strike going on right now, you know that.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't, but yeah.
My dad worked for GM for years.
Yeah, my uncle did as well.
UAW.
The union, here's the easiest way I can give you my opinion. The UAW is a wonderful organization, just like our government. The foundation starting point of the UAW is absolutely needed and great.
I love how you're wording it.
Just like
the foundation
our
of
government
our government
was needed and it was right.
That's good.
Is it
I like
right
how you worded that. That's
today. Is the question.
Well, the fundamentals are still there. The fundamentals are still there.
No, but that, I mean, you might be able to apply that to a lot of different things. It starts off right, and it helps the right people.
Right.
Just like they're not that far different. Our government and the UAW.
They're very similar.
It's just governmental structures that they put into place. Yeah. And people, you will get somebody else that will want to. You always get people that want to take advantage of things.
There's workers taking advantage of the UAW, just like there's American people taking advantage of the government.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Sometimes UAW is protecting the people I don't think should even have a job.
Right.
Yeah. And just like our government's doing the people who should go get a job.
Exactly.
I mean, there's people who can't get a job and they need help. There are, but there's just a lot of blur in both.
Yeah.
And they're big, and things get blurred.
Yeah.
We just live in a world. Yeah.
I mean, but I love and support the UAW. I love and support our government.
Yeah, I think that's good.
I do 100%, both of them. So, I mean, my opinion on that is, now opinion on the strike or the pay or things like that. I mean, that's business, that's life. But, but I learned a lot in the UAW because it helped me. That's one thing helped me is we were going through something called visual factory. And they took the studies from other countries and our competitors and things, and they had this ideal, you are supposed to be able to walk up to any job and it should be clearly posted on how to do that job.
Yeah, I came from manufacturing. It was called 5S when I was in. Yeah, where they standardized it. Yeah,
they called it visual factory, I guess, or it could have been. Yeah. So, I learned a lot in the UAW. Yeah. Absolutely. But I worked hard there too. I worked hard and would say, why do you come to me? Why can't you go ask that guy? They're like, well, he's not going to do it. So I went and did it.
Right.
But that's okay. I mean, I learned a lot.
I think that's a good lesson, though, in life is you have to be the one just to make things happen if you want them to happen, right? I think that's even in your family, right?
It's true.
Like we shouldn't expect...
based on their performance. In fact, I just told that same employee I was talking to, I said the same thing. Not everybody's going to work as hard as you. So you can either work hard and do your best, or you can do your least, because some people, it's human nature. It's like, well, why am I doing my best?
When that person's doing their least.
And, I didn't, and that directly came out of my experiences in the factory. I said it to this employee last night. We were talking.
I think that the world, those people that give things given to them, and they don't have to do those, they're not learning anything and developing them, so they're not going to end up in the same spot as you either long term in life. And doesn't mean... I think people that realize that life isn't meant to be easy, it's actually, if you listen to, look at Michael Jordan, look at some of these people that have done and achieved things. They've worked 5 times harder. Yeah. I think Kobe said that I think there was a statistic that he went after everybody went home and he still shot 100 more balls or something like crazy like that. Yeah. And he's not, it's not looking for the easy way out to get to where you're going. And I think that journey is actually.
That is the exact reason why I said what you guys are doing here and who I am as a person, and the life I led to get here, it lines up. That is, that could be the one power statement of, you got to work hard and harder than everybody else. Yeah. Even when you don't want to. Yeah.
Right.
But I remember recently hearing something that was like, life is like an escalator and you're walking up the opposite side. And if you stand still, you actually go backwards. Yeah. If you walk, you're actually staying in place. And to get to the top, you have to run.
Absolutely.
That's good, Rennie. Yeah. That was good. So what about was that enough for the...
Yeah.
No, I want to hear more about your
that was pretty hard.
So once you got here,
how did that work?
Parents.
Yeah,
like I said, wonderful Italian parents. So we're American Italians. My family, we are more American, don't speak a lot of the Italian language. So my dad did start his own business probably in the late 70s. Okay. He was a videographer. Did a lot of commercials and some motion pictures and things as a cameraman or an electrician and things. So, and I did a lot in that. So my mom was stay-at-home mom, but probably somewhere in the very early 80s. She it must have been then, but she started a T-shirt business. Remember? And you had the iron and you iron.
I remember. Yeah.
So she did that. So I could definitely say there was an entrepreneur spirit, but it wasn't taught to us.
Right.
And I say that because at the same time, my mom always said, well, be safe, right? Take the safe job, And in my dad's business, like they didn't know if they were going to have work next month, right? I mean, it's like you guys, you might have enough houses. You don't know if you're going to get 10 more houses
You don't
in January. You really don't.
We don't.
Nobody calls you.
We have no idea.
You're going to get 0 houses, right?
I say it all the time in real estate. I can make the best. I could make $100,000 by the end of the year, or I can make 0.
Right.
I have no idea.
Well,
you really
as soon
don't
as
know.
we close a transaction, you're unemployed if you don't have
100%.
anything
Right.
pending.
Right.
Like,
So both of my parents did that, and they were hardworking and honest people. So I learned that, as well as I have a older brother and older sister. I'm the youngest, and we're all hard workers. And for me, I never really grew up wanting to own my own business because I saw my dad working hard. I don't know what I wanted. But once I got in the factory, year after year after year, I was like, I got to do something else. Prior to the factory, I did a few years of construction, and I did ceramic tile.
Oh, cool.
And I was gonna go into, be a journeyman for ceramic tile, but I went into the factory instead. But I spent all of my years in the factory, I spent doing side jobs.
Doing
So
tile.
I always did 2 jobs.
yeah.
So my wife could stay home with the kids.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So I was always working. And
You still do any tile?
only
For
for
yourself.
myself and as little as possible.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love
I
doing
do.
tile, actually.
Yeah, I always love doing it because you see it. It's rewarding. You're done.
Yeah. It's rewarding when you get it done and
Yeah.
it looks nice. So awesome. Yeah. So what experience out of that as a child led you to
Mm-hmm.
this role that you have now in leadership in your business?
Well,
Was there one experience, or was it just a multitude of things?
Yeah, because you went from not being interested.
right.
Something happened.
Yeah.
Because you weren't even raised to be interested in that.
No. In fact, like I said, I was definitely raised with college really wasn't hardly a thing in the 80s, not certainly for my family, but it was still just, get a job and save money and work for 30 years, right? What are the couple things that really shifted me? It's probably never really thought about that one thing. My family. I always knew I wanted to be married, and I always knew I wanted to have kids. So once I started doing that, and the UAW is great, and Ford Motor Company was great to me. I had a great place to work. I had great health insurance, and I had 3 kids with the health insurance at Ford Motor Company, and was able to work. So I felt like I wanted to be a better husband and father, and I wanted to be a better person. And for me, going into the factory every day, it was just not comfortable. Now that's for me. I have a lot of friends and family members in the factory, and thank God, because that just fit their life. Not everything fits everybody's life.
Right.
So I wanted to get out of the factory. But if you ask what was shifting me into small business, I thought I could do just have a little more freedom. I didn't know what to think. I have a brother-in-law on my wife's side, a brother-in-law, and he was into Jet's Pizza, and he was into other small business things, and so I watched him. I actually did, worked with him. We did, I helped him do different things and remodeling some things, and so I was just always with him. He's an entrepreneur. I mean, he's the true spirit of, he is an entrepreneur. So, but, I didn't know if I could do it. But,
Right.
When the time came up, I was going to him every couple months,
Yeah.
what can I do? What do you think? Now he knew, and that I'm the family man I am. So you can't, so it's like, I have a good thing going. I mean, I have a good job. It was a good job. The UAW is a good job. It's not a bad job.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a good job. And I had a wife and kids. And for me, it worked great, that early part, because I could be the husband, I could be that father I wanted, and just go to work, wash my hands, come home, we coach sports, we do things. But when I had the opportunity for Jet's Pizza, I took it, but it was scary. We didn't know nobody out here in West Michigan.
Right.
Not one
person.
person.
So you lived on the east side of the state.
East side, yep. It's Warren, Sterling Heights, Michigan.
And that's where your brother-in-law's Jets are over there. And so he introduced you to Jets. UAW shut down.
Well, we had
part of the. I don't know.
No, it was just a normal. No, I took a buyout. UAW was
took
offering a buyout.
Okay, so
because
you took a buyout.
If you remember in 07 and 8 is when the big. Not depression, the
recession.
We hit that recession.
So they were giving people buyouts.
Yes, they were giving people buyouts.
So you took a buyout,
I took the buyout.
and you moved here and bought a Jets and
here.
totally transformed your life.
Yes.
Here in Hudsonville.
Yes, I did.
There's a saying that's for, what is that saying in the governmental? It's like,
you burned the ship.
Yeah, we burned the ships.
Yes,
we burned the bridges.
There's a saying, what is it in the government? It's like, give me liberty or give me peace, or what is that saying that I'm thinking of? Where it's like you either choose freedom or you choose comfort, right, and peace, right? So I think it's the question for you is you chose to sit there and say, hey, I'm leaving comfort because I want freedom. I want to be able to do my own thing. And I think that's what America's even founded off of, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
100%.
Anything I read about our history, as America, I mean, the beauty, the strength, the courage that everybody did for this country, I don't know, and it seems wrong to some of the stuff I see now. That's all. I mean, the spirit. And it doesn't have to be, this is about entrepreneurship, and it's great, but it doesn't matter, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what job you're in, I don't know. The spirit, the American spirit of freedom and family is
that's good.
It's great. You can't get this nowhere else. This is the best place to be. I don't want to go down the.
No, I agree. You have the rights to be able to choose the things that you want to choose, and I think that's the beautiful part. Is I mean, you look at the founding fathers, right, and you see that it's like people, they left these peaceful, like they can do with the things that they want to do, right, but yet we come over here to discover new territory and to have the freedoms that we want. And we're not choosing peace where people are telling us we want. We're always willing to sacrifice everything we have to have our freedoms to do what we want to do, which is actually kind of crazy in a way. Like, we have to be somewhat crazy because you're like, oh, I'm leaving a comfortable life in a lot of takes because you did. Yeah. To sit there and say, no, but I want freedom to do whatever I want when I want to do, which is wild. Yeah.
Let me think back now to help because I'm about ready to go off on the other. So in the factory, now let me add something. As I said, being dyslexic, I obviously am not a good reader, but I read a lot in the factory. I mean, now when I look back, I can see a lot of things really where God was preparing me for this. And the other thing and the heartbreaking thing is in the factory, every couple years they would have skilled trade tests where you have to go take a test, and then if you get accepted, you can choose your trade. You want to be an electrician, you want to be a plumber, millwright, you can choose. So I took this test at least 2, I want to say 3 times, but I know 2 for sure. But of course, I couldn't pass. I can't pass.
Yeah, because it's written tests.
I can't. The second one, I remember clearly because my middle son was being born. Now this was he just turned 25, so this was 25 years ago. But I can remember taking the test because I thought this was it. I'm gonna you know, I mean, I
Get into the
studied, you know, they have
trades.
different study material on this, and I thought this was perfect. My second son's being born. I'm going to get into the trades, and this is going to be great.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I didn't pass the test.
Right.
I mean, and you just talk about feeling.
Yeah. What did that do to you as a father
It crushes.
and a man?
It crushes you. I mean, it's failure.
Yeah.
And that's our battle. I mean, I battle with it today. I think most people still battle with failures of the past and the realities of today. But it was crushing. But I mean, I'll never forget that because
it makes you feel like it's defined who you are, and it
Right.
didn't. It didn't whatsoever. But some piece of paper is defining who you are. And you're like, I have so much more to me than with this piece of paper.
Now, right. So the thing is, had I been accepted,
Yeah.
I'd probably still be there.
Probably.
Because I would not have left
Right.
the skilled trade
What
position. You
trade
just don't do that when you're a tradesman.
No, you don't. You don't. What trade were you looking to get into there?
Plumber.
Ah,
Plumbing hasn't changed in about 100 years.
my dad is a plumber.
And I don't think, so I'm like, I'll be a plumber.
Yeah.
Let's go.
He worked as a pipe fitter.
As a pipe fitter then, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted to be a plumber. People, this is funny too, because I would say that to people, and I'd say, well, I'm going to be a plumber, I'm going to start my own business and stuff, you know. And they're like, well, there's 100 plumbers out there. There's a million plumbers. Why you want? I said, but I'm going to be the best plumber.
Yeah.
I mean, I always said that.
Yeah.
I never got to be a plumber.
You look at those failed moments, and don't you look at them as blessings now?
Yeah, I can definitely look at that as a blessing. You know, there's a couple other, like I said, there's a couple other things that happened in there when I ran for a committee man, you know, to represent. And of course, I didn't win. Good thing, because I would have not left. I would not have left the factory.
Right.
Had I had a different position.
Yep.
Right.
And for me, leaving the factory was good.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if you heard my story, but it's the same exact way. I was in manufacturing. I was there for 10 years, and it never felt right to me. And I did everything I can to move up and do everything I can to, but I feel like, which is, like you said, I think it's great for a lot of people, but I just felt like I was meant for something different, but I kept forcing. I mean, I think about how many years I forced the idea of manufacturing on myself. I go back to, and there's no regrets. I say there's no regrets, but I go back to, I'm like, I kind of wish I would have done something even different for those 10 years. Then, because it wasn't, I don't think I was supposed to be there, but maybe I was. I don't know the answer for it, but I had the same kind of story where I was in there, and then I started listening to audio books because I'm like, I just need to get out of here. Like, it wasn't meant for me. Like, I'm meant for more than this, you know?
Yeah, that was me. I knew I was meant for more, and thank God, you know, my brother-in-law helped me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think you're certainly in the right place now.
I am.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome.
And one last thing, and we might ask you, John Maxwell.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I almost feel like I never donated or did nothing. I feel like I should donate some money or do something, because all his books, I wouldn't be here without John Maxwell.
I would agree with that.
Bottom
for me
line.
too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, what was it? The first one I ever read, I think, from him was, is it the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of like my jam. I remember doing a whole book report on it, because I was in manufacturing, and then they had me on a leadership team where they were developing leaders, so they had me do that book. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah.